Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the Sports Doyen. This is me, Prathamesh, and we are going to talk a lot about football, a lot of exciting things to talk about. The Champions League final that is going to take place tomorrow midnight. Tomorrow midnight in India. We have, one excited Chelsea, couple of excited Chelsea fans to talk about that. We have Sushil from Liverpool who has completed the signings of Ibrahim Konate, and I think we'll discuss that as well. Unfortunately, no Juventus fans or Real Madrid fans to discuss about Allegri and Zidane and even the Antonio Conte situation. I think we'll talk about all of that. And two emotionally disturbed Manchester United fans to talk about the Villarreal versus Manchester United Europa League final, which ended up 11-10 in favor of Villarreal in terms of penalties. David De Gea was the one who missed, or rather, his penalty was saved at the end. So a lot of talking points, and lot of things that we would like to discuss with Shushil, Siddharth, Akshay, and Anurag, who's going to join pretty soon. I'm going to start with the latest news first, and the first thing first. Sushil, Ibrahim Konate, the release clause has been triggered by the club officially. That's big news. As we were talking about a good signing. Looking back at the injuries that happened to Liverpool this season, it is massive to sign another centre back. How happy are you with this at this point of time?
I mean, the only thing I'll say is that we could have used him 6 months ago. But I won't complain.
But
I think he's
worked in your favor,
yeah.
right? With Phillips.
Yeah,
I think it's been a good fight.
Yeah,
exactly. But I think now, with Gomez coming back, with Van Dijk coming back, I actually think now we're pretty stacked in the centre back department overall. I think he's a great buy, and the main reason for that is probably how young he is and how much promise he's shown at Leipzig. This is despite the fact that he's playing with another huge centre back prospect. He's still been able to make a name for himself. So I think in that sense, he's a very, very promising signing, and the good thing is he'll get to learn from probably one of the best centre backs in the world. And I think long term, Liverpool are able to keep him. I think he'll be a bedrock for that defense for a long period of time. Hopefully, the next 7 to 8 seasons. The one downside, though, that I've heard of is that he does have a poor injury record, which doesn't, given what we've been through this season, doesn't really bode well. But again, I think centre backs are more prone to getting injured, especially at a younger age. And I don't think it affects them long term in most situations. So we'll see how that particular aspect plays out. But it's good. I really like it when the club goes out and makes these signings early in the transfer window rather than waiting till the end.
Yeah.
Because it gives the players time to, bed in. And Liverpool have done that really well. They did that with Fabinho and a lot of other players. They don't typically wait till the end of the window. So in that sense, I think positives all around. And I think it's a great buy. I hope they have enough money to make signings elsewhere on the pitch as well. So we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yes, absolutely. The money should be there. Sushil, Fabinho's contract extension is also being discussed at this moment of time. I think that must be a massively important thing for Liverpool in this transfer window. Possibly even keeping hold of the likes of Mane and Salah will be important. Who knows what might come their way as well. What any other players that you're expecting, like in this transfer window, any positions of concern?
I mean, to be honest, I think the only position that we really need to sort of get some backup for, really quality backup for, is probably for the front three. I think in midfield we were already we had a lot of players in midfield, to be honest, which is also why I think they let Wijnaldum go. I think with Jota, Firmino, Mane, and Salah, I think you have 4 really good players who, on their day, can score goals left, right, and center. Obviously, Mane and Firmino aren't coming off the best seasons. There's a lot of chatter around, one of them being let go, and then there was some chatter on Salah being tempted by Real Madrid. But I don't think any of those things will play out, for the simple reason that I think Real Madrid's priorities are elsewhere. Starting with the Alaba signing that they just made, I think they have a very different vision of where they want to go, especially after they made the signing of Hazard. I think they'll be a little, wary of signing wingers from the Premier League, irrespective of their quality. So I think I'm not worried about Salah. What I would like is a fifth player, maybe not as good as the other four, but definitely better than Shaqiri and better than Origi. They're not getting a lot of goals off the bench. So that's one position that I'd really like them to strengthen. I haven't really heard anything you hear those crazy transfer rumors of like Mbappe and all, which is just unrealistic. So apart from that, I haven't heard anything. Konate was the one that we were definitely linked with for a while. So that's already done. Yeah, apart from that, I don't really know who else we would be after. So it'll be
Yeah.
a surprise for me for sure.
Yasho mentions
Yeah,
Rafinha.
sure, suggestion. Yeah, Rafinha from
I
Leeds.
think that's
A lot of
something.
clubs are going to be after him. Could be
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
one.
and I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those players from Liverpool. Make a lot of these purchases from clubs that are lower down in the table,
Yeah,
especially those getting relegated. I remember that's how we picked up Wijnaldum. That's how we picked up Robertson. They always find a good bargain among those players. So I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised to see one of those players from the teams lower down coming in and surprising all of us like a lot of the players in the current squad have. So yeah, I
yeah.
think that's my assessment. They don't have, in my opinion, they don't have the cash to go out and make a big purchase. So if they need to make a big splash, they'll need to probably sell as well. So I don't anticipate any big signings unless there's someone going out of the team.
Okay, I think that's what
Uh,
Liverpool are, and Ibrahim Konate, that situation. Anurag, you have been following his Leipzig partner quite a lot.
Yeah, man.
Dio Upamecano. You must have obviously come across this player that Liverpool have signed as well, Ibrahim Konate, and
Yep.
how I think we have discussed this before as well, that Konate is the one. There are times when like Upamecano goes on a journey of his own
Wild
in the
run.
middle of the
Yeah.
pitch. Yeah.
Yep.
And I just wanted to put it in good terms, but he goes on his wild
Yep.
runs, and he misses out on the ball. Konate just looks like that assuring presence that allows Van Dijk as well, to actually free himself up, go on one of those wild runs himself, because Van Dijk is good on the ball as well.
Yep. Exactly. And uh, I think even Liverpool will also at some point, Liverpool fans will also start thinking about this, because there's just one problem that comes with Konate. That's his injury record. Besides that,
Yeah,
it's just one heck of a signing, and one signing that even United fans, I'm sure, would have absolutely loved, because
absolutely loved. Yeah,
he's exactly that kind of that holding centre back who's gonna allow a defender like Maguire or Van Dijk in this case to explore a little more. And that Upamecano, and I know it's always a back three for Leipzig, but the number of times Upamecano loses the ball and the number of times Konate, if only if I could count, I mean, I would have been a millionaire. Uh, it's it's just Konate is a fantastic. I mean, he's just a fantastic backup. I mean, it's you can't blame Upamecano. I mean, he's that kind of a defender, and he's reaped
yeah,
his rewards as well. I'm not. I don't intend to say. Uh, he's not a good defender. He wouldn't have suited
yeah.
a Liverpool or a United or any other English club for that matter. I don't think any other English
Going to
club really
Bayern's
needed it.
massive though.
Yeah, I mean that was the only thing that would have worked really well for him, and he's gone there, and he's he's gotten his manager behind him as well. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Kudos to him. But I think Konate and Virgil van Dijk, when it really gets going, I think that's really scary partnership, because both of them have pace, both of them have the brains. I think that's something we cannot really
Yeah.
say about a lot of centre back pairings. It's always mostly one person. Unfortunately, at United, it's neither. It's fine. I mean, it's just a lovely signing. I'm sure as a Liverpool fan, Sushil and every Liverpool fan, they'd be hoping his injury record just doesn't turn out as bad as it was last season, or in his entire journey with Leipzig.
Absolutely, that is the fundamental hope for Liverpool fans as well. That injuries in itself was such a massive concern for them. In the season that concluded for them a week back. Take a few comments here. Kushagra is talking about the Europa League. What a shit show by United. Apparently, it was. He is not happy with Thursday night, but Kushagra, good news. You don't have to stay up Thursday nights at least until January next year. I mean, this year at least. Unbelievably
Yep.
poor, hate football. The big concern for Liverpool next season won't be injuries. It will be अगर सब fit रहे तो सबको खुश कैसे करेंगे. Yeah, I think that they will have to
Point.
keep everyone happy.
That's
That's
true.
a point. Buy Konate and Rafinha, which Yashua said. Sell Matip and Naby Keita. Naby Keita obviously hasn't lived up to the expectations probably for Liverpool, so maybe sell him. Matip, considering that they might not sign Kabak, do we want to sell him or not? Is another
How
question.
much, Sushil? How much would a Navigator fetch if
I was just
he's
thinking
good?
the exact same question, because he was gotten for like 52 million pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But his
That was
profile
quite the
was,
signing, right? I remember
yeah,
so many players
yeah.
talking very highly about it.
It was
yeah,
done a
but
season before, like
Mm.
yeah,
Same club.
and if you remember how good he was in the Bundesliga, I don't think anyone was
Brilliant,
surprised
man.
by
yeah,
the amount
Brilliant.
that.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think his career is not played out just because of injuries, in my opinion. I think he's never got the steady run
Surely.
of games. I don't think Klopp will sell him for the simple reason that I think he still sees something there. And as fans, we see it too. It's just that, if he's not able to string along a run of games, it's obviously not going to happen. So
yeah.
I think maybe, he will be one of the players who will end up staying, but he's also one of the players who will probably get a sizable amount of money for in the market, compared to some of the other
Also,
players
wouldn't
that
it be a
Liverpool.
little wouldn't it be a
Uh-huh.
little too heavy for Liverpool to lose Wijnaldum and Keita in the same window,
Yeah,
irrelevant
Keita
yeah,
in the
of
same window, yeah.
Keita not being too good?
exactly. And don't forget, Milner's also a year older, so
Yeah.
he's not going to be able to contribute as much. So I think they'll probably hang on to him. But to your original question, I think if they were to put him out in the market, maybe 20, 25 million, 30 if you're
Yeah, not
stretching
more
it,
than
but
that.
not
Yeah.
more than that.
Probably to a Premier League club around 30, but I think outside Premier League,
Yeah,
probably around
exactly.
2025 is, it's always a Premier League that you get that extra value for money, in terms of what you're investing. Too many midfielders, even now, Hendo, Fab, and Thiago will be first choice
Yeah,
with Jones,
it'll be
Ox, and
first
Milner
choice.
capable to fill in when needed. Keita is too injury prone. Yes, I think Yashu, you're right there. KD bhai, koi baat nahi. Your City neighbors will put up a worse show tomorrow. I hope that does not happen. बस दूसरों के दुख के आंसू देख के खुश हो यही लाइफ रह गई है ओके for all the panelists, should Henderson have been subbed on for Pence? What do we do with De Gea now? Will Heaton pose a threat for the number one spot? Anurag, before you take it, and I think we will come to the De Gea issue later. Henderson, I mean, uh, we will keep De Gea. I think that's all I want to say. No way that Tom Heaton is Manchester United's number one. I mean, not ahead of
He's
Henderson,
number
not
three.
ahead of
He's
De Gea any
definitely
day.
number three.
He's number three,
Like
and
like he was back in the day.
like he was back in the day, and I think De Gea will still be number one. Matheus
But
Pereira
that's
will be typical Liverpool signing, as Sushil mentioned. Yes, Pereira looked good for West Brom. I think Rege will have a little recollection of that as well. I think Ole was scared if De Gea would do a Kepa if he substitutes him. He wanted to play safe. Could have happened, but De Gea is not that kind of a player. Both
Yeah,
Tielemans and Neves are also linked with Liverpool, but unless Keita goes, none
oh,
of them should come. It will be massive.
I would be happy
Ruben
with
Neves
either one.
especially.
Because,
Yeah,
Neves. I mean, at
yeah,
24, yeah, that's a good. That
yeah.
could be a good one.
Neves,
I
Neves is
remember
fine.
seeing
Neves should.
Neves in FIFA and I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Please, please.
Ruben Neves
Anyone
is
but
in my
Tielemans.
FIFA team. Anyone but Tielemans for sure. अरे चेल्सी
Yep.
वालों कदम रह गए अपनी लिस्ट चालू कर दो साइनिंग्स की केन लेवा हालैंड सैंचो आग लगा दो लाइफ में ओके agreed Keita is great whenever he plays but he barely does and is in first choice we would cash him on him selling Shaq and Oxlade Chamberlain makes sense but both do not improve the squad that much and sign some better squad player says free signing FC but yes moving on to the next moving on to the next topic Anurag, going to kick off this with you. That disappointing night in Poland, that disappointing night that we had on a Zoom call, and obviously not ended well for Manchester United. A lot of chances weren't created by the Reds. We didn't really look at any point in the game that we were going to take the game away from Villarreal. In any way possible. And then when it came to the
Yep.
penalty shootouts, from what I've been reading over the last few days, that they have probably ignored what was written on the sheet of paper that was given to him in terms of where the players would hit and all of that unnecessary nuisance that's been created about that entire situation. Uh, First of all, where does this situation leave Manchester United? Not having a trophy for the last 4 years, again, another thing that got highlighted. I mean, there are so many things that people talk about. Just your opinion on the entire scenario with United.
Oh God, this is gonna take a while. But again, as I said, I've maintained my stance over this Europa League not being an acid test for any of the players, or most definitely the manager. But apparently, so at least I'm glad to see the reaction has not been uh, as volatile as it could have been last season. Had we lost a final last season around about this time, I think it would have been even
Yeah,
worse. And yes, it did happen when we lost to Sevilla in the semi-final. I think a good chunk of the fans are sort of uh, appreciative of a fact. They want to appreciate the slow but little progress that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made with this squad. And yes, the yesterday's final was a disappointment, and there are plenty of areas where the manager can be blamed, the players can be blamed. But when the lineup came out, ideally, if this was
yeah,
not a final, maybe United would have actually scored 3 or 4 inside the first half. Or maybe they would have had a spell of 20, 15, 20 minutes where they could have scored, like it happened with Roma. I
yeah,
mean, that Roma also are equally brilliant defensively. We did get past them. We made mockery of them. I mean, that was such a good lineup. So that was a disappointment for me. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did everything that he could. Uh,
yeah,
it just didn't work out. And as far as the substitution go, and I get the point what Atul tries to make. Uh, Sometimes it's a very tough choice to make, because as a manager, you know the keeper is going to feel incredibly bad if the manager doesn't give him the trust. But at the same time, you also have to think about the club. In hindsight, yes,
yeah.
considering Dean Henderson's penalty saving record, maybe yes, I'm
But
of
do
the
you?
opinion that he could have been subbed.
It
Yep.
it shouldn't have gone to the penalties, honestly.
It shouldn't have.
Uh,
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, it
It shouldn't
shouldn't
have
have.
gone past the
Yeah,
90 minutes. It shouldn't have gone past the 90 minutes. The quality of at least the individual quality was incomparable. Even you let it from the defense to the offense. People were talking about potentially missing Maguire. I don't think that was the case. I think the goal that was conceded, it was a
yeah.
good ball in from
It happens even when Maguire's
yeah,
there, to be
whoever that was.
honest. Danny Parejo
It
put
would
the
have
ball
it
in.
would
Yeah,
have
it was a
happened.
very good
I
ball.
think that would have happened irrelevant of which defender was there. It was just too good a ball in from Danny
Yeah,
Parejo, as you said. Uh, my problem is where it's 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 hard to say. I think one of the things that really got me frustrated yesterday was the manner in which the penalty shootout went out. And disclaimer: I
yeah,
don't intend to say whatever I'm going to say. I don't intend to say that had it happened in a different way, United would have won. But the rule that got changed at the start of the last season, that the goalkeeper should not be coming past his line, that the goalkeeper should not be
yeah,
making any movement past that line. He should always have one leg on the line. That impacted the penalty shootout very, very significantly. I think the game would have been
yeah,
done in the first five penalties, and that would have been a bit more watchable and a bit more, uh, you know, less painful to the heart. Such
yeah,
a dreadful penalty shootout, man. I mean, both keepers were not able to make any jump, because obviously they have to make a leap either side from zero motion. It's not like in the
yeah,
past they could take that one giant stride forward and they have to jump. In that scenario, they're able to cover a little more ground. You could see both keepers were literally handicapped. And how long before, I don't know how long before UEFA takes notice of this and consider this to be very, very unfair to the goalkeeper. Should there be a new line
yeah.
drawn where the keeper should not be crossing, which is just above the goal
Anurag,
line?
it's
I
not
don't know what
even like it's not
that
even like
line
you
is
come
unfair,
from
man. It's
behind
very
and
unfair.
take that step from behind because
That's
you have to
another
be
risk.
on the line.
That's another
Yeah,
risk. That will be another risk. You can't really predict how that will go. So
exactly.
again, yeah, I think that's something was very disappointing. Just the quality of the penalty shootout was horrible, horrible, horrible. Uh,
Can
it
I
was
ask
easily
you
the most
something?
dreadful. I'm sorry.
Can I ask you something though?
Yeah.
Shouldn't the second place team in the EPL be able to beat, what is it? They finished seventh place team
Yes.
in La Liga
No,
in
not
120
questioning
minutes?
that. Definitely. Then
Yeah,
definitely it should not have gone to the penalty shootout. And as I said, I don't intend to say had the rule had been similar, United would have won, as I've mentioned already. Uh, yeah, I think the final pressure. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer not winning anything in the last 2 3 years, United not winning in the last 4 years. I think that pressure got to the team, which should not have been a reason. I cannot really fathom and put out one reason besides all those amazing individuals who on their day are so incredibly talented. They were all pissed poor. I think that Pogba was not having the kind of a day that a lot of United fans would have loved, because he was the one who's been quite instrumental in some beating low blocks this season. I think that to put it that way. Uh, yes, it should not have gone to the penalties. They should definitely have defeated a team who was seventh or whatever. And Villarreal,
Yeah.
man, they just sat back. They did nothing, and both teams were like this. But I would still wouldn't say some United fans have been putting it this way that United were outclassed. I mean, it's still the game went
Wasn't
at
the case, yeah.
20-second shoot, 20-second shot, and the
But
penalty
it
shootout
doesn't
went in.
matter
It
if
wasn't.
you outclassed anyone on the day. It doesn't matter on final.
It
वो
doesn't
लोग-
The
matter
result
once. Yeah, it
matters,
does
Yeah,
yeah.
not matter once you've lost the
yeah,
game. They got their plan worked
Yeah.
out well.
yeah.
Both teams were shit going forward. Uh, yes, it was quite disappointing. United should have beaten them.
Yeah.
I've got no real answer that
Yeah.
can satisfy people, but I hope things go better. I think, as I said at the start, United fans are still optimistic about the progress that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made. I think one major difference is that almost every game that we lose, at least we are creating chances and losing. It's the
Yeah.
attacking quality or just people missing out on chances that's led to us losing games, which is something a lot better than what we had in the Jose Mourinho era. Sometimes we would never even have shots on target, or even shots on target is a far thing. So
Yeah.
it's been a huge progress in that regard. Uh, and we've been able to, the one problem that United have always had, the beating low block teams. United have
Yeah.
pretty much countered that very well this season. Uh, when it mattered the most, it did not happen. That's quite unfortunate,
Did not happen.
but it's fine. And I think even Siddharth has some very interesting points as far as the sit down Sterling thing is concerned. I just noticed it again. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think there are good things to look at next season when it comes to that,
Yep.
because you look at Rashford and you look at the reactions that the players have given, how this will hurt them. I would like to think about this in a different way. This will hurt these players a lot, and probably next season, whenever they're in the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the Premier League, or the Champions League, or may that be the case that we go drop back to the Europa League again, it will genuinely be a motivating factor for them to do better, because had we won this, the confidence would have been different. But now the hurt could possibly take its own toll as well, especially on a lot of players who come out of the academy, who believe in the system, believe in the club, they love the club themselves. So hopefully all of those values and traditions that United have had over the years kind of get them over the line. That's always the hope. Every season we keep on hoping that, and I think next season as well the hope will remain the same. Although the optimism, I must say, is slightly better than we have had in the previous seasons, to be honest, when we look at next season. But yes, enough about the Manchester club that lost a European final, moving to a Manchester club that might win a European final. Talking to the Chelsea fans first, Akshay. Uh,
Yeah,
Chelsea, obviously, a Champions League final and a season that we've all talked about, mirrored 2012 in so many ways. The manager change and the
yeah,
way that season has gone on for you guys. But
yeah,
now that you're there in the final, it's a massive game and it's a one-off. You might
yeah,
applaud Guardiola and City as much as you want to, which is truly deserved. But then when it comes to the final, there is only one winner, and we saw with Villarreal versus Man United, quality doesn't really matter as much as the application on that
yeah.
one day, and you might just end up winning that one.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the presses of both the managers. I saw what players were saying. I think both these teams are confident. अब I like that
Yeah,
going into the final. नहीं तो क्या होता है, थोड़ा रिजर्व्ड रहते हैं मैनेजर्स भी और
भाई
प्लेयर्स भी.
प्रेसर्स में कॉन्फिडेंस पे मत जाओ.
Yeah, I know,
Historically.
but अरे I know, but थोड़ा कैंडिड होते हैं तो फैंस कैन रिलेट टू देम, तो वो सेंस में बोल रहा हूँ,
yeah,
नॉट कि फाइनल कैसा जाएगा या वो कैसा जाएगा. आई थिंक it's good that both of these managers are saying कि we are confident about this one. So I think वो शायद गेम में दिखा जाएगा, मतलब hopefully it will be a good game for neutrals too. तो यार पेप का इंटरव्यू देख रहा था, सो ही वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट Tuchel's tactics and how Chelsea are doing under Tuchel with the three at the back system and how they have improved massively. And I think, like Anurag mentioned about progressing as a club, with Manchester United, you saw that with Ole. Without the trophy, it was progression, regardless of what you say. They lost a final, but it was still a progression.
Yeah.
With Chelsea, you can say that, like, we signed players there was progression, and we know these players will improve. These are young players. Kai Havertz is young. Christian Pulisic is young. Mason Mount is young. Mason Mount has stepped up this season brilliantly. Like, people expected him to be outcasted by Lampard, by Tuchel. So he has stepped up in on occasions where you would say Chelsea would not be winning those games. Like, we haven't won at Anfield for a long time, and we won that game. We talked about Chelsea not winning those big games for a long time. Now, like, we defeated Atletico, we defeated Real Madrid. It was important game for us over both the legs. So this is progress, I believe. And regardless of the result, I think we are going in the right direction with the players we have, with the quality we have. Although we could expect more from the attacking side, because the defensive unit has carried us in this tournament, because defense is important when you talk about knockouts and these games where you need to grind out wins, where you need to see out your 1-0 leads, where you could say there are so many important different factors, I would say, from league from league to the cup competitions are different in that regard. In Premier League, you'll need to score those opportunities, which Timo Werner has missed a lot. So hopefully, in that sense, we'll see some improvement in cup competitions. You can't really say who's going to win it on the day. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's the magic of the cup finals, isn't it?
Yeah.
As much as I remember, I think even last time that Chelsea were in the Champions League final, there's obviously a lot of talk about Bayern Munich as well.
Yeah.
Chelsea were, I think, even on that season, the way it ended up, it was always a fairy tale in itself come true.
Yeah.
Sid, that fairy tale that happened in 2012, do you potentially see that happening again? Because with all those similarities being there as a constant, we have seen Tuchel, who has had, a little, I think, motivation against Pep Guardiola in terms of what we saw in the league as well. That late, that you guys scored at the Etihad, and a very good game there. And it might be motivating for Tuchel as well, because he lost the last Champions League final. I'm pretty sure he would want to win it this time. Don't want to lose two finals in a row. So there is a lot of motivation there. A game where potentially N'Golo Conte versus the entire Man City midfield will be a massive competition in itself. Conte has this ability of dominating midfield games on his own. So there are a lot of things to look forward to. And how do you see this going for your team too?
Also,
Interestingly, that you mentioned.
Start with the explanation of your name.
Oh yeah, I before I came to this live, I read this amazing
Oh,
comment
yes.
from someone who's probably not even going to feature in the final. Interesting. Raheem Sterling saying that the only way Man City losing will be if they do something themselves, which could be right considering how Manchester City have been this season. But I find it disrespectful, because it's a UCL final, something somewhere you have never played. Uh, and you still might not play. So I mean, I get the fact that Pep Guardiola, with his Tuchel revealing his tactics, that was a funny thing. But I just don't agree with what Ray Sterling said, because, as I said, it's plain disrespectful. But that's it for that. Interestingly, that you mentioned the 2012 final. One thing that I would like to borrow from that is. The warrior mentality that they had. Those players, this side is probably better, more talented, more energetic. Also, does not have Ryan Bertrand on the left wing. So, I mean, but that team was full of warriors. John Terry's, Didier Drogba's, Frank Lampard's. They fight it out for 90 minutes. They've done it on multiple occasions, and that's where probably this team has a bit of inexperience. But as I said, they're much more talented. uh, if you talk about the tie, I feel that the first goal is going to be absolutely crucial. Whoever scores it, because Chelsea have had their struggles with chasing games, because of obviously the entire lack of conversion problem that we have. Uh, so, as I said, the first goal is extremely important. Yes,
N'Golo Conte's role in the midfield is also going to be important, because I don't feel we're gonna overcrowd the midfield. I think Mount will be there to help a bit, but it's essentially going to be Jorginho and Conte with probably Kovacic. That's one big positive, though. We have Kovacic back in the side finally. He's a huge player in, even when you're I think a goal down or a goal up, he comes in those crucial moments, and he has the ability to dominate midfields as well. Uh, but again, the problem is lack of conversion, because we saw what happened in the 2012 final. We got one chance with that Drogba header, and he absolutely nailed it in. This Chelsea side
Yeah,
lacks that. We don't have goal scorers yet. We
yeah.
don't have a single goal scorer, and that could be a problem. I am extremely nervous, but because of what Sterling has said, I think it's irritated me to another level, and I'll be on my Rohan mode today. I'll be overconfident as he is, and
Yeah.
not Rohan, as Sterling is, because uh,
Oh,
you can't be saying such shit, man. Honestly, you have to show some respect.
yeah. I mean, yeah, true that. And I mean, just to take a little bit of dig on Raheem Sterling, he left Liverpool for Man City to win the Champions League, and Liverpool won it first. So there's that little bit of
Loads of players qualify for that. Coutinho.
The
yeah.
number one, exactly. The
Yeah.
man who paved way for
Philip
two of the
Coutinho.
biggest signings in Liverpool history.
But
Exactly.
anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
But he
Yeah.
did win the Champions League later. I mean, so yeah, he has some good memories
Oh,
there.
with Bayern.
Come
Uh,
on.
Oh, with
Can you
Bayern,
consider that an
yeah.
achievement?
yeah.
I
Can you really
forgot.
consider
He
that
has
an
a,
individual achievement for him? Yeah, exactly. See, no
he
one
has a
remembers.
medal. See, he has a medal. I mean
Bro,
that at the end of the
didn't
day,
he
that's
didn't he
what he
play in
went
the
there
final?
for.
Did he play in
I
the
He
think he
did.
final?
came on as a
I,
sub. He came
He
on as a
came out as
sub.
a sub.
oh
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
came out as a
Anyway.
sub. But yes, talking about Man City, and I'm going to start with Sushil because I don't think Anurag and me want to talk about Man City a lot. But just,
You
I
can
mean,
come
yeah,
to me. It's
we
not a
will, we
problem.
will, we will for sure. Sushil, just talking about City and Guardiola, we know about his brilliance, his tactical brilliance, and everything that Man City have done since that terrible start they had to the season. I remember the Sheffield United game where City won 1-0 and it looked like a different Manchester City team. The way they defensively approached their game, and after that you've seen the giant strides that they've taken. Obviously, with the a little disputed Ruben Diaz decision of whatever the Player of the Season award was there with the writers, and everything that has happened with this team, the amount of goals that they've scored, the way they have thrashed teams in Europe as well as in the Premier League as well. Now is the point where I think a lot is going to be defined in the chapter of Manchester City because they've won 5 Premier League titles. I think in the next 2 or 3 years, or maybe even now, they can call themselves, one of those elite, in the Premier League, over the years. But the Champions League is a competition that obviously Sheikh Mansour and everybody else at City Football Group have been aiming for a long time now. And this is the final. This is where Pep Guardiola earns his money and everything else. But we know there is a history of Pep Guardiola ever since he has left Barcelona to overthink himself in these big games. We haven't seen that this season, but there is always that potential for the evil of Guardiola coming out in terms of his tactics. How do they just deal with all of that, and then especially considering the way Sterling spoke, as said, there's a lot of overconfidence there in that team. Do you think that pressure in itself could affect a little bit of a morale there as well?
I mean, just to start off, 2 points, right? So this is the
Yeah,
biggest game that Guardiola is playing since he left Barcelona. This is the first Champions League final he's been in, and this night means everything for him. This is the biggest game in Manchester City's last decade and a half since they got taken over by the
History,
Spain.
easily their history.
Yeah, I didn't want to use that word, but you get my point. Since this project
it is.
started, this is
Yeah,
the night that they've been waiting for, right? And I think for a lot of these players too, particularly those who are part of the earlier Manchester City team from the earlier part of the decade, including De Bruyne, this is something they've been trying to get to for a long time. And to be honest, I don't think apart from maybe a certain set of patches over the last 3-4 seasons, I don't think they would have been able to arrive in this final in better form. I think, unfortunately for
yeah,
Chelsea, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. They were doing so well to that point, having defeated Real Madrid, Akshay spoke about the win at Liverpool, which I thought was amazing too, because we only lose to bottom half teams. So I think Chelsea were doing so well, but the momentum has just left that team over the last couple of games, and it can't do wonders for your squad if you're losing to Aston Villa before a Champions League final, right? So I think whereas Manchester City, it's sort of the other way around. They've sort of since they lost against, who was it, Leicester, or I think they lost to Chelsea itself in the last few Premier League games. I think they've really gotten into gear. The last game of the season, I thought they were completely, they were pumping in goals for fun. Aguero came off the bench, scored a brace. So I think form-wise, they're definitely the favourites going into this final. I think the narrative is also stronger with them in terms of what I said at the start about the manager and the team sort of building up to this point. The only thing, like Prathamesh said, he does have a tendency to outdo himself in big games. Whether that will happen in this final, I think, is a little less likely. I think Guardiola's figured that side of his personality out, and he's able to tame that. But overall, I'll say this about Man City. I think in most parts of the pitch, them and Chelsea have comparable players, but there are one or two or maybe even three players that Man City have that are leagues above the Chelsea squad. I think De Bruyne is one of them. I think Ruben Diaz has been brilliant this season, and I think in terms of like Regis said, Sterling's not going to be in the final, but I don't even think they're going to miss him that much because of the quality they have in their squad. And so in that sense, I think there are a lot of, if you were to do a pros and cons, there are a lot of tick marks for Man City in going into this final. So I think overall, for me, they're the favourites going into this. And obviously, given the rivalry that's built up with Liverpool over the last few seasons, I won't want them winning it. But then I also wouldn't want Chelsea winning it. So at this point, I don't even care who wins it. But yeah, I think overall, they are the favourites going into this, in my opinion.
Don't you wish just the final gets banned and no one gets a trophy?
Maybe.
What a fantastic finish to the season.
Any Manchester United fans available?
Yeah. I mean, just to go there and spoil the entire situation. I think Sushil, uske वजह से शायद they haven't kept it at Wembley. Maybe the United fans might just go there and protest against the Glazers.
Glazers out. I think Glazers out is soon going to become like Wenger out.
Chappal maar ke bhagayenge. They tried to.
It's just
only that Wenger out was a lot more respectful, and they still had a lot of love for him.
Yeah.
And Wenger actually contributed to the club.
Yeah, and when Wenger left, they actually gave him a good farewell. I'm pretty sure if Glazers leave, that they're going to just pick them and throw them up somewhere. So, and Abraham Glazer's ponytail is going to be cut off.
Vijay Ramesh just messaged me saying, "You better hope Chelsea don't win tomorrow."
Exactly, man. I'll go into hiding for a few days.
I mean, what will happen, Anurag, essentially is I don't think Kushagra will also like this. So maybe what we will do is you, me, and Kushagra will just hand over the channel for that.
By the way, I'm in advance not available tomorrow, which has nothing to do with the result. I'm reiterating it again. I know I hate and
we're going to do
my
a pre-match
advanced
live and we
prediction.
might be there.
See, it will be like a money in the bank, We can do the post-match live anytime till the next year. I think the next final comes. But we'll definitely do a post-UCL final live anytime in the next year. Don't worry. Just for you.
It will be the same shithousery.
Whatever happens,
or I'll bring it up in every live we do.
Whatever happens, I wouldn't mind actually doing a post-match live at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I don't think a lot of people will be watching it. So your reaction can just go out to a very few people.
It's okay. It's okay. People don't have to watch it. It's okay. People don't have to watch it.
But yes, I think coming to a few comments, and I think after the comments, I'm going to turn my opinion of what I feel towards that final, because Vipul is really irritating me here. Walker, Stones, Foden, all of them have their birthday today, and they will be celebrating it tomorrow. They will be celebrating it.
So they'll be celebrating for the birthday. Yeah. Like only for that. They'll be celebrating the birthday.
Only for the birthday.
Nothing else.
Yes.
So, finally
exactly. They'll only be celebrating the birthday. Finally, khel rahe. आज रात को पार्टी, कल they're going to show up late to work and
फोर्डन के फोटोज लीक हो जाएंगे कहीं पार्टी के then banned from
No. Akshay, not
No,
Phil
no,
Foden.
don't say
Phil
that.
Foden.
Please don't say that. Don't say
Mason
that.
Greenwood's
Someone
friend.
please find out where
Mason
Mason
Greenwood's
Greenwood is.
Yeah.
Kyle Walker's friend.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Mason Greenwood's friend.
अरे काइल वॉकर का भी कुछ तो
Yeah.
किस्सा हुआ था
Because-
Yes. It's very suspicious.
Yeah, all of these people are just at Jack Grealish, and it's a fabulous combination.
yeah
Absolutely, and I love what Pep Guardiola said, right, in all of this. You know that he will give the medal if he wins to his daughter, so that somebody who has never touched a medal can actually have that feeling. And I mean, that was
Sasurji.
incredible what happened. Sasurji, I mean, Dele Alli is going to be having some fun there, but you know, that was the ultimate shithousery by Pep Guardiola. Vipul says PP in for the worst Man United all-time 11. Our worst 11 would have still won titles. I mean, you've done with Anderson cleverly, so I mean, I wouldn't mind picking that 11. Anna Jane though, I'm confident Man United will get another shot at the Europa League next season. Chalega, fair enough. Even if we do get, we will play well. We'll win
See,
it next
this is
year.
what I'm talking about. This is what is irritating
Yeah.
me. You know, all these City fans and the kind of season that they've
You know-
had. Look at that confidence, man.
Exactly. And you know what, Sid, there is a reason why. I mean, I do not want to comment on Vipul in particular, but look at the whole situation, right? Chelsea fans are doing well. They're concentrating on themselves. Liverpool, you know, they did not obviously make a big fuss out of the United defeat. But just look at this guy. You know, his team has won the league and his team can potentially win the Champions League, and all he's concerned is Man United. I mean, that just shows the state of the club, right? La Liga teams have played Premier League teams in 10 major European finals in 2006. They've won them all.
Vipul's never
Yeah.
joining our lives again.
Yeah, we have lost one viewer, man.
One
That's
Man City
massive.
fan.
One
That's
Man
even-
City fan. From today's press conference, Pep looked calm, hoping he doesn't overthink is what Kotai says. Kotai is a massive Pep Guardiola fan.
ये City fan
I mean, I like Guardiola, but yeah.
Yeah, I like Guardiola too, but not Man City. I mean, never. Evan Dino stated that we have to do the basic things right and not overthink. On 28 May 2011, CSK won the second IPL title. Hours later, Man United lost to Barcelona in the Champions League final. MSG is a Man United fan. Complete contrast. Okay, okay. He supports the right club in Manchester. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
After not so interesting UCL finals in recent times, I hope it's just a good game to watch. Yes, man.
You know-
I mean,
That
It's
is one
been a
thing I'm
while.
not expecting.
thanks to
That's
Liverpool.
something
On
I'm
this
not
point,
expecting.
you know, the Liverpool Tottenham final was the shittiest final in a long time. The only reason I enjoyed it is because we won. But man, I
Liverpool
could
won,
really
yeah.
use a good final. Yeah, I could use a good final.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but
And I mean,
don't
for
you
the
think
neutrals,
this gives you a vibe of a 1-1 until extra time, and this goes to the
No, look,
penalties? I have this
it
Let's
will-
vibe.
save the
it will-
predictions for the end. Let's save the
The
predictions.
difference. Also, the difference will be it will be 1-1 with Werner missing 10 open chances.
yeah
You know.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a 1-1 when
It's going to be even.
there won't be
It's
attacking
going to be
football.
even more frustrating for Chelsea fans. As
Yeah.
neutral fans, I mean, every miss from Phil Foden or let it be Kai Havertz, I'm going to cheer that.
Also his goals are a roller coaster themselves because 90% of them get overturned by VAR. You know, we can't even celebrate goals.
Timo Werner, yeah.
Say that to Alvaro Morata.
Yeah. I mean,
Alvaro
Chelsea
Morata
should
has
just
been a part-
ban. They should just ban the
He
knee-side
was
celebration.
found offside by VAR, having scored 11 goals this
Yeah.
season, including a hat trick in one
Yeah.
game.
Had there
in
been
one
no
match.
VAR, had there been no VAR, Werner and Morata would have been top scorers, Golden Boot winners, at least one one time each.
Yeah.
Oh god.
That shows right that the VAR was a good decision because we don't have unnecessary compliments
Let's
like
not
this
get
to
there.
such people. But
Let's not
okay,
get there.
let's not get there. Gundogan looked to be in some sort of a discomfort after the training today. Yes, Gundogan was in trouble, and I read a very funny thing. I saw a very funny video on YouTube. You know, it was clickbaity, so I clicked on it and I saw N'Golo Conte is injured for Sunday, and then there was this 2-second reel of him, being injured for Sunday because the final is on Saturday and him putting his goggles and looking up like this. So I mean, it was quite funny in itself. Pranav says Edison scored 4-5 penalties during training. Yeah, because there
Edison
are
did mention,
no
right?
one
Like
else.
if it really goes to the
Training
penalty shootout, he's taking the
He will
winning
take it.
penalty as if he's going to be in a position. And that was going to be my prediction. Since I'm not going to be there tomorrow, I was actually going to say Chelsea might win this on penalties. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah,
And this will be as equal a dreadful a penalty shootout as it was yesterday. Watch out for
yeah.
it.
Absolutely. Sterling's full court. The only thing that can stop us is ourselves. I expect a difficult test, but I expect us to pull through. इसमें क्या बुरा है रेगे भाई? Okay, Pranav. We will not get back to that because I'm pretty sure Rege will have his meltdown once again tomorrow. So we'll reserve it for that. Hope Mendy stays on the pitch for the full time. Can't imagine Kepa coming in the middle. Viransh, you're right, but I could see Kepa coming out. It would be
Was
his
he injured?
redemption
Is he
moment.
injured?
No.
Mendy
No,
was,
no.
yeah.
Then
Mendy,
Mendy
Mendy
is back.
was.
Mendy is back
Mendy
in
is
the
back.
training.
Mendy is
everyone's
back.
fit. Everyone's fit. If Tuchel
Yeah.
says everyone's fit, because
Yeah.
he's been saving a
Yeah.
few players for the UCL. Fine.
True.
Kovacic hasn't
Yeah.
featured
Yeah.
despite being fit. So I think
What
if he says he's
does
fit,
yeah? What does the panel think about Simone Inzaghi as the inter coach? I have no opinion on it. I
Massive
don't
step
know what
down.
the others feel.
Massive step down
Anyone?
from Conte. Massive step down from Conte, in my opinion.
Yeah,
brilliant
that's
because
that's true. I
Lukaku will
mean,
probably
Really
come
well
to
done.
this.
That and one or two of the key players leaving, and I think they're back to like third, fourth next season.
yeah, I think that's financial mismanagement, defined in its own
Yeah.
modern way. I mean, we have seen Leeds do that before, but I think
I
Inter have done even
I
worse.
have a slightly different opinion.
Hmm.
I sort of feel a little bad for Inzaghi because I see him being scapegoated slightly because let's not
Yeah,
forget one of the main reasons why Conte has left is because the board gave him two choices: either let Lukaku go or let go of 4 or 5 players that can account for 70-80 million because they desperately had to make that cash. So
yeah,
which Conte did not agree to. So you can expect either Lukaku to leave or a lot of players to leave so that Inter can make that money, not to put into any other players, but to just make up for the financial predicament that has been caused over the last 5-10 years. Uh,
Also,
many years of mismanagement has fired on them exactly during a season after a season when they've been so successful, which is very sad. And I genuinely don't think. I mean, if Inzaghi can pull off CL position finish, top four finish, I think that's going to be a
it's
huge
it's
achievement.
highly it's highly unlikely because Benevento
Yeah,
didn't win a game since January 6th, and they obviously got relegated. That's a
yeah,
lot. They haven't won a game for half a season. Inzaghi being the manager, and from there to come to a club that is probably at its peak. Inter is at its peak right now, and as
yeah,
Sushil said, from then losing Antonio Conte and a couple of players, and that's all it takes to suddenly see a push. Because you know that Juventus under Allegri is not going to be
yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, as easy as probably it was under transitional Pirlo.
Arey,
yeah.
It's
Sid,
going to be Juventus again.
it's not Filippo Inzaghi. It's Simeone
Yeah,
Inzaghi. I think
Simone, yeah.
yeah, you're talking about Filippo
Yeah, I'm
Inzaghi.
talking of Filippo
Yeah,
it's
Inzaghi.
Simone
Yeah,
No,
Inzaghi.
it's
Simone,
it's
he
not
did not
that.
play for Inter. Yeah, he was not a
Yeah,
I
former
thought he
Inter.
was
yeah,
Lazio coach,
Yeah,
right? Simeone.
yep.
Yeah. He's a Lazio coach.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
He's done well,
yeah.
but
Simone
it's
Inzaghi is
still
a
a
Lazio,
Lazio
step
yeah.
coach.
down.
But
Happens.
still, yeah.
Either
It
way, it's a
happens.
scapegoat.
Yeah, it's still
Either way, scapegoat.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, Inter had
Yeah,
the
he's a
best league
scapegoat. He's going
record.
to be a scapegoat.
Inter had the best league record in any of the top five leagues this season,
yeah.
91 points, right? And
Yep.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it,
it was
it's
going to be a
just,
step
yeah,
down.
it's sad to say that.
it's disappointing.
See,
Yeah, it's
I think
disappointing.
a lot of football fans collectively, at least definitely outside Italy, were quite disappointed with how both the Milan clubs had fallen in the last 10-12 years. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't want such huge clubs to fall off like the way they especially
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
And just when something good was spiraling for Inter Milan, and it's again back to the dark phase. I mean, if
I
Inzaghi
mean,
can do something with this, that'll be some story
yeah,
again.
massive man,
Yeah.
so what are
massive.
they saying
And
about Lukaku? Where is he likely to go if they have to sell him?
Lukaku is likely to go to
I
Chelsea, from
take
what I
him.
hear.
I take him. I
I
take
am
him.
pretty sure they're
Yeah,
going to take him.
he's
I
I
would
think
ready
the
take
and
him.
Chelsea is a massive deal. I just, I specifically hope this for Chelsea fans and for whoever follows Chelsea, that I hope it doesn't prove out to be like what happened with Pogba at United. I hope that this transfer works out for them. A player who's left them before coming back and
I
trying
think
to
If,
make it
if I
happen.
could just make a small point, if I could just make a
Yeah.
small point, a lot of United fans have been calling for Antonio Conte to come in for United because he's free right now.
No man.
Antonio Conte left Inter Milan because he did not want one player to quit.
Yeah,
Uh, Imagine that at United. I think he's going to last 3
yeah.
months. Yeah.
He's going to last 3 months, and I don't think the board's going to hire someone who's as dominating as him.
I
To, I
mean, I
mean,
think I
they
know
want
where.
to be. It's going to be a clash of egos, right? No one. I
Yeah.
think Ole is
Conte is going to be the alpha. If he goes to any club,
alpha.
he's the
Yeah,
alpha. Or
Yeah.
he
he is
quits.
the alpha.
Yeah.
So yes, Anurag, just coming to you now, we're going to talk about the man who's won 5 consecutive Scudettos. He won the Coppa Italia 4 times with Juventus, a competition that they hadn't won for 20 years, and obviously going to talk about Max Allegri. Coming back to Juve, the transitional Andrea Pirlo, Pirlo's first season and management obviously didn't end well. Having said that, won 2 trophies, but I don't think that's the criteria at Juventus. For Juventus, it is about winning the Champions League and Serie A. Both of them didn't happen. There were times when they looked absolutely out of the Champions League qualification race as well for the next season, but they have done that. So coming just to Allegri, how massive is that? Because obviously Paulo Dybala is one of those managers. Sorry, one of those players who did well under Allegri initially, and I think he will definitely like the fact that Allegri is back. Allegri is someone who has a lot of faith in him. Potentially with all that contractual situation, it will help him as well, and the other players, especially the
I'm
older
sorry,
guard
I
of
lost the
Juventus.
voice. I lost the voice at a crucial bit. Are you talking about Ronaldo?
I'm talking about Dybala and the
Yeah,
other
sorry.
older
Yeah,
guard
cool.
at
Sorry.
Juventus. Obviously, Ronaldo will be a question mark as well. What happens to his future?
It
But
is
just
being
about
touted that
Allegri,
Allegri
yeah,
has absolutely no intentions of keeping him.
yeah.
So yeah,
So
coming to Allegri, I think let's be honest. Him coming in is a great sign for Juventus. At least he's one of those managers. Even with if he doesn't have the greatest of resources, he still can pull off results. So that's one great thing about Allegri. But this is by far one of the worst Juventus teams. Like in terms of morale, in terms of business done over the last 4 or 5 years. Let's be honest, I think among all the big clubs, I think they if you want to pick the top 10 biggest clubs, obviously Juventus will be there in Europe. And obviously, I think as far as
yeah,
business goes, I think they are right at the bottom, number 10. And a lot of people have been talking about how Cristiano Ronaldo's deal has halted their progress very, very significantly because they pay whatever that huge sum is on a weekly
incredible
basis,
wages for him. Yeah,
with that
yeah.
outrageous wages, which is still unfortunately impacting, and they've been feeding off free transfers. You can't keep going on such 9, 10 winning streaks with those free transfers. So something has to change. So again, it depends on what Juventus plans with Allegri. Uh, Again, they once again they don't have enough money to get in one or two big signings this
Unless they
season.
let go of Ronaldo. Unless they
Even
let
if they
go.
let go of Ronaldo, he's not going to fetch you a lot of money. So I mean, yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
you save a lot of money for
Wages.
his
Yeah,
wages. Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
but I still don't. I think it's still not that significant for Juventus to get a
But
very,
I
very
think
good
with
player
Allegri,
on the wings. Yeah, but they've had some. I mean, they have had some positives in Federico Chiesa. How
yeah,
do you pronounce it?
Chiesa, yeah.
Chiesa,
Chiesa.
Tex
Chiesa.
Chiesa,
He's
yeah.
he's been quite positive. I mean, he's
Yeah.
had his
He's been
flashes of
brilliant.
brilliance. Buffon won the Coppa Italia with his father and also with this guy. I
Yeah.
mean, God knows. That's the most amazing thing one could have
Ridiculous
asked for.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. So yeah, it depends on what Juventus have planned for Allegri. Is it a 4 5 year business deal, or is it another one of those 2 or 3 year business deal that usually you associate with a manager like Allegri? If it
Yeah.
is one of those, the latter, I think it's going to be a very, very challenging time for Allegri. And if he can still win 3 Scudettos, irrelevant of Juventus being the most dominant side in Italy, I think that's going to be some achievement because uh, but again, I think it's like Italian clubs have all chosen to fall together, right?
Yeah.
Out
Exactly.
of those, I mean, Juventus is slightly better off. Otherwise, it's not the greatest of positions for all the clubs. Also, I think someone's asking from Facebook, where can I watch today's
Yeah.
final match? It's not today; it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow,
It's tomorrow
unfortunately.
night.
Yeah.
I think around about this time we'll be live discussing the game. So
It's day
please do join
after.
us tomorrow.
Day after.
Technically, day after, yes.
Technically, it's day after, unless you are
Yeah.
not in India, you're in Europe. Yeah.
So yeah,
So that's the thing.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's a very very tough deal for. It's going to be more challenging for Allegri than it was last time. But people
I
have
mean,
been talking about him being potentially able to attract someone like a Paul Pogba or someone, which could be a good one because I think their midfield has been dead scrap. Nothing more than that. It's been quite
let him
bad.
go, man. Let
Yeah.
him go.
What
I
Pogba? Do you think they have the money to
Why?
get Paul Pogba?
No. I don't think
if
any
they let go
Italian
of
side
They
will
don't
Ronaldo,
have
have the
that.
money though,
Yeah.
unless
But
they
why
include
would
Ronaldo in a
you
deal.
take your Ronaldo money and put it in Paul Pogba?
Yeah.
Like of all players.
That's just
don't,
Juventus,
don't, don't
right?
you
That's
don't you
just
think that?
Juventus.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you think that's what Juventus would do?
Yeah.
No,
No,
I mean,
rather go for a 30 million navigator, honestly.
I think honestly on Juventus, right?
Yeah.
Apart from the Ronaldo deal, I think they've been very savvy in the transfer market. I think the kind of
They've had
players
to
they've
be savvy
picked
as
up.
well, right, Sushi?
Yeah. No,
But that has been caught up with them, I think.
It's
That
caught
It's
up
is
with
caught
them.
up with
caught,
them. But even
it's caught
before
up
the
with them.
Ronaldo deal, if you think of the players they had Mandzukic, who had a position
Yeah.
change and was in his 30s, who was playing out of this world for them. They had
That's
so
right.
many great
Striker.
players. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with the transfer strategy of Juve. But like Akshay said, it caught up with them, getting all those
Yeah.
free transfers. I remember they got Emre Can from Liverpool back in the day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Also,
he's
Yeah.
just been average for them.
Douglas
So
Costa was a decent signing for them.
I think what you need to do is get rid of Ronaldo and use that money to help Allegri develop the squad in his way, right? They
Yeah.
shouldn't have
But also,
let go of him back in 2019. They've had two failed managers in the interim period. I think they should
Yeah.
just get rid of Ronaldo and maybe just move on from that entire phase because evidently
Yeah.
whatever they were doing before that worked out for them, right?
Yeah. It's
They
interesting,
started
right? Because
three finals.
he
So,
was
But
sacked. He was
I
sacked
don't get
because
the
they did not go
narrative.
in the Champions League. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't get the
the issue
narrative
fine was
about
what? Yeah. Akshay.
it been put on Ronaldo. Ronaldo has been top scorer for Juventus. I think
Yeah.
he's the one who has been performing. It's the others
Yeah.
that haven't been performing. Like you said,
हाँ
there are players who
अक्षय
are.
वो
It
सही
is the
बात है.
others, but they
I
need
हाँ,
to
think
get
when we
Ronaldo
blame
out of
Ronaldo, I think it's more from a business perspective. I think
Yes.
whatever
Yeah.
they're doing, whatever the club is doing to
but
accommodate a person
yeah,
like Ronaldo, it's
yeah,
clearly the club is financially not in a position to afford or keep someone like Ronaldo with the kind of wage system they've
Yeah.
had. Before
Yeah.
Ronaldo came in, the highest wage ever was 250K a week.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they all that straight away shoot it to 1 million a week. So I
I think
mean,
he
Yeah.
just
And
sucks
that's
a
the
lot of
impact that
oxygen out of that team.
yeah
Real
Yeah.
Madrid was big enough, in terms of
Yeah.
yep
finances and all of those things. But I think in Juventus, he's just too big, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
yep
I'm not saying
Yeah.
they're a small team, but financially,
it's big
it
yep.
sucks resources that you
It's
need in
massive.
other positions. So I
There
don't
are
think it was
plenty
a good
there are
also,
call.
plenty of big
also,
clubs with 4 or 5 Champions League titles to their credits who can't do that right now. So
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
also
that's
they
to downplay them. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Also, they have
But it's
faced a situation similar to Atletico Madrid as well. I think
yeah.
Paulo Dybala has completely failed to fire this season. Something that happened to Joao Felix as well.
Yeah.
You know,
But
no
still,
matter
João Felix
considering.
has a lot of time on his side. He's still,
Yeah,
I
so
think,
does
Dybala
so
doesn't
does
have
Dybala.
time on
So
his
does
side.
Dybala.
yeah,
No, he does. He does.
Not
He's
as
still
much. Not
there.
as much. Yeah.
At
He's
25,
still
26,
there.
it's still fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dybala is
Yeah, he's still.
27.
27. Oh,
27. Yeah.
He scored
That still gives
5,
you
11, and
1 4 year
4
deal.
goals in the last 3 seasons.
oh,
So,
Yeah.
wow.
So they probably were hoping to build their team around Dybala, when he had that breakthrough season
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago. That hasn't happened, and Ronaldo obviously was something. It's also about the business at the end of the day. Ronaldo brings
Yeah.
you a lot of business as well. You're talking about
Yeah.
a 1 million wage, but imagine the number of
Yeah.
merchandise, etc., the
Yeah.
ads, the
Sponsors.
sponsors, whatever they've
Merchandise
gained because
Bro,
of it.
sahi
sponsors.
baat
Yeah.
hai. Bro, again, see, that's sort of overblown. I mean, a club gets like 10% of the merchandise sales that happens.
no,
Not
it's
the
not
Yes,
just that.
merchandise
it's a
sales,
decent
the
amount of
overall
money.
sales.
It,
It's
it's a
Not
not
the
just
decent
about
amount
Sponsors
of
as
money,
sponsors.
but
well.
it still doesn't account for that
Yeah.
Yeah.
much.
Evidently, he's
Yeah.
not bringing enough money for them to be
Yeah,
able to go out and buy
I
players.
don't think so.
Right?
That would be an
Exactly.
issue.
Like it's not a good
I
deal overall.
it's not been a
Yeah.
good
it
deal. Yeah.
it
And
it
Juventus really haven't been successful with him too.
I mean, Sid is right in one way. Maybe they did have
Yeah.
plenty. See, when you sign Ronaldo,
yeah,
it's obvious you're not only looking at football, you're looking at the
yeah,
business side of it as
Yeah.
well. And I think it's football-wise, it's been a big hit. Obviously, I mean, it's Ronaldo. He was just being Ronaldo. He was great.
Yeah.
But I think from the business side of it was such a big failure. It impacted the entire side.
Yeah.
But
and I think if you look at this squad,
मतलब मेरा एक ही doubt है, if Ronaldo goes, it will be a gamble with the money they have. It will be a gamble to bring anyone.
It will be a gamble.
And I don't see them progressing. Like you said,
the problem is Akshay, exactly. किसके साथ replace भी करेंगे? That's also a problem.
How exactly?
You can't replace Ronaldo with anyone. Yeah.
You know. Also,
Actually,
the point around
if you look at it long term,
not that you can't replace Ronaldo. That's true. I mean, the position that he plays right now is like he's more of a striker. Sometimes he plays on the wing. Who takes that role? Who is there in the market who can do that right now? There's absolutely no one.
And the thing is, they don't have any goal scorers. Bernardeschi का record देखो, he's not a goal scorer. उसके
Morata has been decent.
Morata has been decent, but वो ये बात आती है ना, उसका कॉन्फिडेंस हाई तभी रहता है जब उस पे फोकस नहीं रहता है. The focus wasn't on him. Premier League में था, पूरा फोकस था, and he failed when सारा फोकस था उस पे. और and when we talk about Juventus, they don't have goal scorers. I'll be honest, Dybala का record I think सुशील ने बोल ही दिया. Bernardeschi I think 3-4 गोल है 3-4 seasons में. So he's an attacker, so you would expect more from these guys.
Chiesa is the most vibes player I've seen.
Chiesa is someone who they should hold on to. मतलब उसको long term deal देना चाहिए. They should. He is one of the superstars, future superstars for Italy as well.
And who's that Barcelona midfielder they signed? I mean, Barcelona signed for
Arthur.
Yeah. Must keep hold of that guy as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it will be a gamble when they let go of Ronaldo. It will be a gamble with that amount of money.
Perhaps they'll sign Lewandowski once his contract is done.
I don't think so.
Just 2 points. Also 2 points. 2 points. One. Where do you see Ronaldo going from here? It's not going to be an easy player to sell. You see what happens with Messi.
No,
thank God you didn't say Mumbai City FC.
It's too soon. It's too soon, Sushil. I feel it's too soon for.
No, also just to
because they are going through financial themselves.
Just to quantify the profiteer part as well, the monetary benefit. As soon as Ronaldo signed, their shirt deal, they signed a 7-year new contract, which was double the value that they were earning from that previous shirt deal. So we just not talking about merchandise over here. We're talking about sponsorship.
The benefit of that has already happened, right? They've already benefited from that deal.
Yeah.
They won't be able to benefit from any deal until like 5 years.
See, he brings a global market with him. That's the kind of player he is.
Yeah.
You know, and if Juventus manage to hold on to him, at least for a year, it's gonna be. Yeah.
The question is whether you want to be a successful business enterprise or a successful football club. If you're looking at a football club, then they might have to sell Ronaldo.
No, that's not the point. I get your point. Your point. But the point is, I think Juventus, all the deals that you're talking about is true. But I don't think it's eventually that's tallying their balance sheet, is it?
Yes.
I mean, that is the problem.
You're talking about football. Don't forget he scored 30 goals in 30 games.
No one is going to give you that.
No
one would score 40. It's not him. It's not him, Sid. It's not him. It's about because of him they cannot afford anyone else.
Exactly.
Maybe it was by Juventus' fault as well. Maybe it was by Juventus'
they have to sell him. Yeah. I don't agree that they have to absolutely sell him right now. I don't agree with that part.
But then they need money. They need
at the end of the day, he's a striker who gives.
Yeah.
I just said, see, he's going to bring them money. He's a good business for them as well. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's a Serie A club we're talking about.
मतलब Ronaldo पैसा नहीं लाएगा फुटबॉल में तो कौन लाएगा?
Yeah.
मेरे को वही नहीं समझ में आता. How can Ronaldo be a failure for any club?
Ronaldo's value is basically TV to Facebook. I mean, that's how.
Just one last point. One last point. I don't think they'll get a deal at this moment to be selling Ronaldo better than if they keep him in the side now, because
just getting him off the wage books would be enough. They'd save 30 million a year by just not having him around. 30 million a year.
He's
I-
earned
it-
a thrice of that. I can, if he, I mean, I'll have to do some research, but I'm sure about that. Absolutely
Yeah.
sure about it. He's earned the
90
club that
million.
much money.
That's their entire Champions League season earnings if they reach the final.
The,
I don't
I
think he
mean,
earns
yeah,
90 million.
I
I think
know.
it's 30.
I mean,
See,
he's
He
dragged
earns
them
he
into
earns
Champions
around
League
he
positions.
earns around
I
like
think the
800 900K a week, right? At Juventus. He earns massive money.
also,
I
I
mean,
thought it was
nahi,
500 something. Anyway, point is, it's big enough to,
yeah.
relieve a lot of
Yeah.
pressure on them.
You're leaving 40-45 million out from wages. I mean, that you
You
can
see,
distribute amongst players.
one right point which Siddharth says is, see, when
Yeah.
Ronaldo came in, he elevated their business. Not
True.
maybe not to the extent you were expected. He elevated their business. If he quits, that business comes down. First thing, I
Yeah.
mean, come on, La Liga lost its broadcasting rights when Ronaldo left.
Yeah.
There was no other reason.
Yeah.
What is Syria?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
dude,
Serie A has nothing in
honestly,
front of that. Yeah.
Hmm. There is
Serie
honestly,
A
I
anyway
think
earns
the
like
league
they
gets
earn they
affected.
earn they earn
Ronaldo affects the
1.9
league.
billion. Yeah.
Yeah.
They earn 1.9 billion La Liga from the TV revenues. Serie A earn
also if
1.2. So that's anyway going to be very less than La
Yeah.
Liga. And now if you remove
also
Ronaldo out of
also
it,
if they keep him for another year, and as Sushi says, that will easily. I mean, obviously they're not going to be getting any transfer money for him. Let's just, I mean, not a lot, considering his age. Probably he frees 40 million. Uh, what? I mean, I know per week wages of 40 million is a lot, but don't they'll obviously need more money to sign players as well. So
I mean,
how good a deal is that?
they'll have their own transfer budget for the season also, right? It'll be over and above that.
yeah,
My point is, look, my point is by putting in that one extra season, all you're doing is burning money, right? Because over the next season, it's not like he's going to help Allegri rebuild the squad, right? You have to move on from those players at some point. And
yeah,
it might as well be now rather than, waiting another season, wasting another prime of the current players' years. I feel if you bolster the squad with those funds, that might result in better
The
chances
the
of
other
winning.
s-
It can help
the
Paulo
other
Dybala quite significantly.
yeah,
Possibly not
massively.
just Dybala,
it
but there
also
are a
may
lot of
not.
players.
It also may
Obviously,
not.
it may
What if
also obviously
what
was the
if what
case,
if
but
they
see, Mhm.
yeah.
No, go
My
on,
point
sorry.
is, what if they see at the end of the day, if you're taking Ronaldo out, you're also taking out 30 goals. And if someone, they're not also like, they don't even do half of it, and it affects them a lot. We're not understanding the other part of it. I agree with the point that if Ronaldo's obviously not be going to be a part of the rebuilding exercise, but what if
Yeah,
it's a fresh squad isn't able to achieve what Juventus is achieving now? That
Yeah.
leads to a downfall
I
in
Champions
mean,
League
Juventus.
Juventus
football.
were, if I'm
That would
not
be
wrong, Juventus were doing just fine before Ronaldo joined too, right?
yeah,
Without
they were
a
doing
30 goal a
very,
season
very good.
striker.
Also, I feel
Two
with
Champions League
Ronaldo
finals,
being
five
there, a
league
lot of
titles. I thought
focus,
they were doing fine.
a lot
So,
of
I
focus
mean,
on the
also Inter
gameplay was
improved.
also on Ronaldo. I mean,
I
everything
think the
was a little
point,
centric towards
I think the
Ronaldo.
problem is people are thinking that like Prathamesh and I are sort of on the same side here. We're not talking about Ronaldo being a bad player or
Yeah,
him not doing enough or anything like that. It's purely about the balance in the squad, which is the point I made right at the start. That at
yeah,
Real, even with Ronaldo being paid the wages he was paid, he also had players like Cruz, Modric, Sergio Ramos, all of these guys around him. Bale sitting on the bench. At
Benzema.
Juve, yeah, and at Juve, that's not the case, right? They're basically impoverished in other parts of the pitch. They still have to rely on Bonucci and Chiellini, who are into their late 30s now at centre back,
Yeah,
right? So, I mean, I just think they have bigger problems to solve all over the squad, and I think Ronaldo helps, solve some of those problems. With that money, they can at least start that rebuild process that they need to do. Because
Yeah.
evidently, this
yeah,
is just a stopgap measure, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
They got the shirt
Exactly.
sales, they got the commercial popularity, but they didn't get trophies, which is what, as a club, I know Juventus would care about the most. And so I think that
yeah.
process has to just restart.
Yeah, I mean, just to
Exactly.
finish it off, it's like Juventus is like a family of seven or eight, and because one person is bringing in all the money, the food is being fed entirely to him, and it's like three or four people are not even being fed. It's slightly become like that. I mean, it's not entirely like that, but I think
I
there
mean,
are
Yeah,
see,
see,
see, see, see again the point around
Juventus
Dybala.
cannot
It's
afford him, man. Juventus cannot afford. I
yeah.
think it's
Juventus
been
cannot afford
quite
it.
clear. Yes, he's bringing in the business, but still, they are not able to afford him. I think their business has clearly shown that. I think that's the only point. Siddharth has just given up.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I think Siddharth has given up, and I think this is a never-ending topic, right? Because I
Yeah,
think
we'll have a good
We'll have a better discussion.
there are multiple people on multiple sides, and I guess
Yeah.
in on like in all exclusivity to every person's opinion here, I think they are right in their own ways.
Yeah.
Because see, Ronaldo guarantees goals, guarantees results, but at the same time, Juventus cannot afford other players because of him, which is the truth. But he gives you business, but they
Yeah,
still don't have enough.
either route you take the Siddharth route or the route that Sushil and I have been suggesting. It's a
Yeah.
gamble. It's a huge gamble.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble
Yeah.
anyway, and I think they will have to figure out which gamble they want to take. And I think that will depend a lot on Allegri. And as people have said, Allegri, is probably planning a future without Ronaldo. So maybe
Moral of the story: they
that's
shouldn't have
the-
signed Ronaldo at all.
Exactly.
Yeah,
ये झंझट होता ही नहीं. I mean, we would have seen Real Madrid probably pick up a couple of more Champions League titles by now as well.
see,
if that
my
were the
point
case.
is they've had other failures with signings. That's the only
Yeah.
point I'm trying to
Yeah.
make. It's
Yeah.
not like Arthur isn't or Morata.
No.
These aren't
Arthur
top-rated
isn't an
players.
upgrade on Pjanic. Pjanic is a better
No,
player.
but no way.
Arthur didn't step up at all. He didn't step up at all.
Arthur didn't
He
step up.
hardly
You
started any
couldn't
game.
see him. And the thing is, it's not just the sponsorships. Without those 30 goals, Juventus aren't in Champions League. They're not getting that money as well. So it's
No,
if
the point
if you are
was not,
talking about
we're not
money.
comparing Ronaldo and the other signings. All we're saying is
Yeah.
Arthur is a mistake Juve can afford to make. Ronaldo is not a mistake they can afford to make. Right?
But is it a mistake? Is what I'm saying. In
Okay,
football,
okay,
it's
okay.
not a mistake.
An executive decision here. As the
Okay,
host, I'm
okay,
taking
yeah,
an executive
let's
decision.
be-
We will
Yeah,
keep
people
this
have to
topic
quit.
for
People
another
have
day,
lives.
because
People have
people
lives.
have
Guys,
lives,
come
and
on.
also यार also
Yeah.
content के हिसाब से देखोगे तो थोड़ा और decision आने के बाद we can also talk about this one more hour and get more out of that too. So let's keep it for that when fresh viewers come with fresh opinions as
We're
well
just
on the
beating
comments.
around the same bush for 20, 30 minutes.
We're beating around the same bush for 30 minutes almost now. I wanted to discuss Zidane as well, but we're going to leave that off the books today. Just take a few comments for the people who have actually commented here and been patient. Nahi bhai, Mendy, Edison are definitely going to do better than what De Gea did yesterday, is what Vipul is saying. Chelsea ka Mendy pitch pe hona chahiye, City ka nahi. Yes. Is Lautaro Martinez to Barcelona still a possibility? It might be, but you guys don't have the money though.
Talk about
Is
the
he free?
wages affecting transfer
Why
policy.
would they get Aguero if they wanted to
Yeah.
get Lautaro?
Lautaro Martinez. Another, Then I'm assuming his contract with Inter must have expired. This is proper shithousery. We have already answered Gangmelu's question. One of the questions that was asked to Pep, KDB, Dino was, how will the Portuguese players perform in Portugal? How does this question make sense? It's the same way that Lautaro Martinez to Barcelona is not a question.
Just a small thing, Pranav. I know it's you. You think it's quite cool to call Fernandinho Dino, but Dino is always Ronaldinho
It's
first.
very
It's
confusing.
Ronaldinho. Exactly.
It's Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
That's Ronaldinho.
I was confused.
Let's
I was like, why is Ronaldinho commenting on
Exactly. Exactly. Now I got that. Now I realized it's Fernandinho.
Yeah.
Look at Vipul's question. I bet it's
Any
Tammy
updates on
Abraham.
which striker City will sign this transfer window? It's
Definitely
Harry
Tammy
Kane.
Abraham.
Vipul, if you
Haaland.
don't know that Harry Kane, if you don't know where Harry Kane
Samuel
is
Eto'o.
heading by now, you never know. He's going to City or he's
Tammy
going
Abraham.
nowhere.
It's
Like
gonna
he's
be Tammy
visibly talked about Kevin De
Tammy
Bruyne
Abraham for
on
48
air.
million. You.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
चला
he's
गया तो
talked.
Madrid कौन जाएगा? Conte?
Yeah.
I think
Conte.
that's the-
I'll tell you
Conte to Madrid. That's
why.
what we do last.
One second. I'll tell you why Conte is the perfect candidate, because he'll give them 2 successful years before Zidane comes back. With everything that's happening with Allegri.
Yeah.
You know, at some moment Conte is
no.
going to be pissed off with Perez and he's going to just leave the dressing room.
Yeah.
And then they'll go
Yeah,
back
even
to Zidane.
Kushagra is like in the comments is just stop it, guys. Give final predictions and fuck off.
Exactly.
He's literally saying that.
Vipul has asked, Nike ended a sponsorship deal with Neymar last year after he refused to cooperate with an investigation in which he had sexually assaulted a Nike
Apparently, I read
employee.
the details. It was like, fuck. It was.
It was really
God.
messed up. Really messed up. With all Italian teams in transition, will Mourinho lift the title? Oh, that's a good question. I like that. That's a good hope to have. Probably again for another video. UAE were free agents. FC, they are free agents. FC now. I think it just have one massive player. Lately, Juventus recruitment is shit. Thank you for saying that. Mohammad Saddam says hello. And I thought we were here to discuss the Champions League final. Vipul, the thing is now there is only one big club in that Champions League final. That's Chelsea. So, we have to we only discussed about one. That's enough.
Prathamesh, do you know that one day they're just going to make a reel of all these things you said and they're just going to play it back to you?
Yeah,
I
that
won't
will be
mind
when
that.
Harry
Prathamesh is going to
He won't care. He won't care. Prathamesh.
When
I won't
Harry
care, dude.
TSD will release a statement then. Prathamesh's opinions are his and his only.
Anurag,
We
if you
don't
do that,
take
I think
blame.
we have to release multiple opinions and multiple things out here. But fair enough.
Yeah,
Final
predictions,
predictions,
okay.
lads.
Let's do it.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay.
Let's do it tomorrow.
Since I won't be
Anurag
there
can have his.
tomorrow, 1-1.
Yeah.
It's going to be 1-1. Chelsea to win on penalties.
final prediction: Ronaldo to stay.
Yeah. I think that's the ideal thing.
He is talking as if us winning this argument will determine whether
नहीं,
Ronaldo
कल रोनाल्डो को देखो स्ट्रीम पे I think
Oh yes, Ronaldo is playing for Juventus in the stream tomorrow.
I've not seen him this passionate since Chelsea won the semi-final.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's talking about Ronaldo to UA as if he owns Juventus. I mean, that's how
It's
passionate
okay,
he's
guys. At
about.
least someone is winning.
I was midway through it, I was like, fuck, I don't even care about this subject that much.
Yeah.
So yes, once again, after like 30-40 minutes of the Ronaldo hoopla and everything else that we have discussed, thank you to everyone who stayed, until these 1 hour 15 minutes, because it's been fun. But I think
this is downright hilarious, man. This is downright hilarious.
Yeah, will petrol bomb in a rice cooker. Yeah, it will be. It will be petrol bomb in a rice cooker, and you don't want to be there. And especially, can't imagine Conte and Papa Perez obviously going head to head in a conversation, or possibly in a fight that is going to be orchestrated by Romelu Lukaku. But yes, thank you to everyone to stay tuned to Sports Toyen. We will be back live tomorrow. Tomorrow is match day 3 as well of the TSD Super League, so that will be happening along with the big event of the night, the Champions League final. What a day tomorrow, match day 3 and the Champions League final on the same day.
Oh, there are games I care about tomorrow. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there are games.
Yeah. There's an outsider. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Let's say.
There's an imposter. Okay. So yes,
Finish it.
We'll go back to being among us, and you guys can go back to your lives as well. Stay tuned to the Sports Doyen. We'll be back tomorrow with the Champions League and the TSD Super League. Stay tuned and stay safe.